Hello, hello. Hope everybody can hear me okay. My audio has been kind of weird as of late. Um, I have a special guest tonight, a subscriber. Tonight is a subscriber spotlight. This is a guy that he's commented on a lot of my videos. He's been watching a lot of my videos for a long time. I really appreciate him kind of supporting the channel. He's a fellow card collector, and I wanted to bring him on. He also has a YouTube channel as well. And so without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Jared from SGC Investor. Let me pull him in here. Hey, Jared, how's it going, man?
Doing all right, Dustin. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Especially at 9 o'clock at night. I feel like, maybe I'm old with the kids and everything, but 9 o'clock is kind of pushing it. I was telling Jared, I've got a coffee, and then I've also got a Diet Coke. And then in case I feel like I'm going to pass out or something, I also have water just there. So I've got 3 drinks lined up. That's how sad it is. When you're almost 40 years old, that's what it comes to. That's what it comes to. So yeah, man, thank you very much for joining me. And in the comments, I know that your Browns Talk, right, is your handle or whatever you would call that on YouTube. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about your YouTube channel. It's called SGC Investor. When did you start the YouTube channel, and tell us a little bit about that first?
Sure. So I do listen to Gary Vee a lot, and he's always talking about start a YouTube channel, something that you're interested in, just start posting videos. So I finally kind of got going with that. I want to say I started maybe mid-April maybe. And I tried to do a little bit of both, of kind of just like stuff that I'm buying or kind of looking at, just kind of showing my cards. Because I definitely enjoy watching other people show their cards. It definitely gives me like good ideas of like, hey, that's a cool mid-90s insert that I never would have thought about of collecting or investing in. And then I've also tried to do some research and kind of look at, I just recently actually just purchased a car ladder last week, finally dove in.
Okay.
So that way I kind of compare cards and kind of see what the trends are and what's falling, what's rising. So just kind of combining those things and sharing it. And it's a good fun hobby to do on the side.
Yeah.
Keep me out of trouble.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hear you. So when did you you're not new into cards from my understanding, you're getting back into cards. When did you first actually, collect cards to begin with? Were you a young kid, or when did that begin? And are you new now?
Yes, my first kind of sports card experiences was in 2nd grade. I want to say I went to like a birthday sleepover party or something like that, and like baseball cards were like part of the gift or part of the party or something like that. So a bunch of us came home with like 2 or 3 cards that were just like free. And so I remember we would like brought our cards to school like the next week, and I'm trying to remember this right, but I had it was like a junk 90s, like it was a Reds player. And then I believe it was a 1991 Ozzie Smith All-Star card. And I remember one of my buddies had a Mike Piazza Sports Flick card, and I just thought that was like the card to get. So I feel like after a few days.
Yeah, Mike Piazza, I remember when he was like larger than life. And I'm not a baseball card guy. Is Piazza, are his rookie cards worth a lot, or is there any kind of, I haven't been following him at all. But I remember back in the day, he was a big deal for a few years. He was definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, mid-90s, early 2000s, he was the man. Just like the other kind of early 90s baseball cards, unfortunately there's so many that, but his PSA 10 and stuff still goes for a little bit. But yeah, I remember in 2nd grade, I combined my Ozzie Smith and the Reds player card to trade for the Mike Piazza Sports Flicks card, and that was like my first trade. Loved it. And then ever since then, I started buying packs. I would ask my parents for baseball cards for Christmas and, birthday stuff. And then 5th grade was probably like my peak of card collecting as a kid.
Okay.
And that was 2001, which of course is a huge year for the Ichiro and Albert Pujols rookie cards.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Did you have those?
So I had a few friends that were also in collecting at that time, and the hunt was for the Ichiro Topps 2001 rookie card. And so I was just always like going for that, trying to find it in the packs. And finally, one day at the mall, I remember it so clear. I went to the mall with my mom, and my brother was like a year old. I bought one pack. I was going through it. I finally got it, and I was so excited. And put that bad boy in a penny sleeve and a top loader, and that was it, man. Yeah, 5th grade was a really fun time. And of course, we get older, middle school, high school, we forget about cards. We think about girls and the sports team. So I didn't really, I've kind of pretty much forgotten about it until about February, March. I was a Gary Vee listener. I would listen to motivational speeches and stuff.
Yeah.
And then on YouTube one day, he talks like for 2 hours about sports cards. I'm like, oh, this is going to be really like exciting to like check things out, see what the hobby's doing. And then he talks about how like Luka Doncic and like other people that I haven't heard of at the time were just exploding, and how their prices were going so much. I'm like, I got to get back in this. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of same boat for me. I was watching Gary Vee a few years ago, and it was more just like his motivational stuff. I liked his energy. I liked his messaging too, because a lot of his messaging to young people, and not just young people, but people that are, older as well. It's kind of just like get over it and get on with it. Kind of like, like life happens. We live in the greatest country in the world. Like we got to figure it out. I mean, just being that he's from, the former Soviet Union, he's got perspective, that really, really good perspective that I agree with. So Cards, Guns and Collectibles said, we are on competing with the VP debate. I feel bad that we're actually pulling viewership away from Mike Pence and Kamala Harris right now. You know what's going to happen? Actually, what I'm counting on is in about 20 minutes, everyone's fed up with it, and then they come back onto YouTube and start watching this. It won't take long, I think, for everyone to just be annoyed, and then that'll be the end of it. Cool. All right. So so that's how you got back into it. And then are you more of a baseball card collector, football card, basketball card, or do you have kind of a mix that you're buying now?
Yeah. So like growing up, I loved baseball. Like baseball was the thing. I'm not that way anymore. I tried playing fantasy baseball this year, and I had to like learn so many of the new players. But I still do kind of look into a few baseball stuff, but it's mostly basketball and football now.
Okay. Now, you're a Browns fan, obviously. Do you buy are you big on Nick Chubb and Baker and those guys, or are you, is it like with fantasy football where you kind of have to be leave your emotions at the door and like take the players that you believe in, not like the players on your team? Although I'm a Saints fan, so I tend to go, I want Alvin Kamara and I want, Michael Thomas, but the Saints just happen to have good offensive players. If I was a Jets fan, I don't know if I'd be taking Jets players, so what's kind of your strategy there with cards and with fantasy football for that matter?
Sure. So Baker Mayfield, kind of through the off season, first off, the front office switch, which has been awesome with Andrew Berry. The coaching switch from Freddie Kitchens to Kevin Stefanski has been awesome. Yeah. And then the system itself that they have, they got players that actually fit the system, offensive line, etc. So I was definitely pretty excited about Baker's cards. Nick Chubb is just the man, so I'm always on Nick Chubb. Unfortunately, got hurt, but it could be a good time to buy low.
Let me break in too. And I didn't see this. What's his injury? Did he hurt his ankle or his knee?
It's a MCL, so knee, and it's probably going to be 5 to 6 weeks.
Okay, but he didn't tear it.
Yeah, nothing too bad. So just time will tell, I guess.
At least they have Kareem Hunt. I mean, Kareem Hunt played really, really good.
Yeah, those two guys are just awesome to watch on TV every day or every Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're definitely lucky to have Kareem Hunt fill in and still be a top 5 back. I have pulled off on Baker Mayfield rookie cards.
Yeah.
Right now, he just, it's, I guess, two things. He is kind of a game manager right now. We don't need to throw the ball, which is like, and he's also kind of learning the offensive system still.
Well, they have Odell's throwing the ball now. Or no, is it Landry? No, Landry's throwing the ball.
Yeah, they'll both throw it in plays, but yeah, Landry had the touchdown.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, he threw a rope. That was a really cool play.
But yeah, you're right. I remember watching last year, and I told you this. My in-laws are huge Browns fans. They live in Dayton, so kind of my AFC team is the Cleveland Browns. I pull for them, and plus, just because of their history, they're due to win. And I'm a Saints fan, so there's been mostly bad years, and then over the last 13, 14 years, it's been pretty good. But taking a while to get to that point. And with the Browns, I feel like they finally kind of have some talent, and hopefully the coaching and everything can kind of pull it together. But last year, I remember they just didn't have an offensive line. I remember thinking, like, if they just get some linemen, which they did, they got Conklin and then their first-round draft pick, was it Willis or Jared Willis or whoever they took. But I remember it being a top 3 tackle in the draft. So they finally have that protection piece. And so it seems like everything's on the up and up. So we'll see. They're 3-1, right?
That's right. I'm enjoying
it. Are you in shock, or is this kind of what you expected to happen?
I felt like pretty confident that we would beat the Redskins and Bengals, and then I knew the Cowboys. It was going to be tough because I knew that their defense was horrible, but their offense can put up points. Yeah. So I knew we had to run the ball like a lot to like establish ourselves and then kind of make them play catch up. So that's what they did, and they won. So
yeah, I mean, they really controlled the whole game up until kind of that fourth quarter or third quarter, where they allowed them kind of back into the game with some big plays. But yeah, I mean, they looked really, really good. Are you of the opinion that Baker Mayfield he's the answer? He's the franchise quarterback there, or are you kind of still on the fence? You want to see how this season goes before you're all in on Baker?
I think for the most part, I do believe he has like all the attributes that you want. And as a leader, he's great. So right now it's really just him learning the system, getting comfortable with everything. The poor guy has had to go through 3 different offensive coordinators since he was a rookie. So like, I feel like kind of mid-season, we should see him be more comfortable and maybe sling it around a little bit more. So I would say I'm like 80% like he should be the guy. Yeah.
I think he's legit. I do. It's nice to see kind of Odell breaking out a little bit. I'm just going to assume that first year, last year, they just had to gel with each other and kind of figure it out, just get that rhythm. And it seems like they kind of have more of a rhythm this year than they did last.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of along with Odell's like groin injury from the whole season, and then Freddie Kitchens messing things up. Like apparently from what they practiced during the off season, they apparently just like threw that away and like just like played yard ball basically. So yeah, Kitchens was a mess for us. So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm thankful for Kevin Stefanski.
It was weird. I thought that Kitchens, before the season started, I thought he would be kind of decent. I thought he would be okay, but it just goes to show. I mean, there's just sometimes where coordinators just don't transfer well to be a head coach.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time. There's a lot of coordinators that finally get that chance to be a head coach, and it either works or it doesn't. And then, of course, circumstances play into it so much too. If your team is banged up or schedule or whatever, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So are the Browns going to go all the way this year? They're 3-1. Do you think they're going to win the division? I mean, they got smoked by the Ravens, but they'll probably split with the Ravens because that's kind of what they do. It's like they're going to like probably split. So do you think they can overtake the Ravens for the division? And then what about the Steelers? The Steelers are hanging out there too.
Yeah, it's playing the AFC North with those two teams is always tough. Roethlisberger on the offense looks much way better, and Roethlisberger's healthy so far. So I actually am a little bit more. I feel like the Steelers, are going to be harder to like play with against versus the Ravens, because once you have a lead against the Ravens, you usually have a pretty good shot. I was hearing something, I think it was either Football Talk or Fantasy Football Talk, where when Lamar is down by halftime, they just don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
So if we can kind of grow from what we've done the past 3 games and do that again against the Ravens, it can definitely be a good game.
All right. Well, we'll see. My Saints are 2-2, and they're kind of sometimes they look great, and other times they look terrible. And but they played the Lions this week. They have the Chargers. The Chargers actually played the Bucs pretty tough, but
They did.
Again, that's a team that we should probably beat. Especially because I think Eckler got hurt. They're starting running back, so I don't know. I feel like we should beat the Chargers, and I think it's at home in New Orleans. So we should be all right. All right, let's go to. We've got a couple of questions here. Do you have an opinion on this, Jared? What is a long-term outlook for SGC graded cards? Do you want to throw in your 2 cents?
Sure. Kind of as most of us know, SGC has been kind of a bigger player in the vintage stuff, and they haven't really done too much with the modern stuff. And then, of course, with the COVID stuff, PSA and BGS closing down, SGC was just able to get so much more modern stuff, and now it's out on eBay, and you can actually kind of start to really compare and have more transactions. And kind of, I feel like as the months and years kind of go on, I feel like it'll be at least a mainstay. I don't know if it's going to overtake PSA ever, but it'll be at least a good mainstay card grading company.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, PSA has such control, but with their price changes and with everything else, I'm just curious to see if they still maintain that edge over BGS and SGC as far as resale goes, because that's really what pushes that's really the driver why people want PSA graded cards. I mean, yeah, there's some that just like the look of them, but the reality is they want to get them graded and they want to resell them. And of course you do have collectors that want, their stuff in a PSA case, but what percentage are collectors that just want their stuff in a PSA case, and what percentage want PSA because of the resale value? I think it's a high percentage that want the resale value. It's just my opinion. I just think that they want that. I don't know if people really believe that, I think that there is a lot of continuity as far as the grading, as far as those 3 go. I don't know if there's a dramatic difference in grading quality. I think that if you send to either SGC, BGS, or PSA, people will have different opinions on that. But I do think that, there's not a huge disparity between the 3. And the big problems that they have is not one of them can grab the bull by the horns and actually turn cards around and get them back fast enough right now, just because of everyone sending them in. That's really the problem. If one of them could kind of break away and do that, then that might be more of a determining factor than the resale value if people are just trying to kind of turn cards. It's just an interesting debate. There's so much strategy, it seems like, with grading. And I don't grade cards, but I like listening to the discussion. Historically, I've bought raw, sold raw, and then I bought graded, sold graded, but I've never gone that route of buy it raw, send it away for grading, and then, just doing all that. And part of that might be just because I've been buying heavy over the last 12 months. I got back in about 2 years ago, but over the last 12 months, I've been buying a lot more volume than I did that first year getting back in. The first year I was just kind of buying more collector type stuff that I couldn't afford when I was a kid. etc. But then that second year is when I started buying a lot more cards. But then by the time I figured out grading and how to do it, then it was like the shutdown was happening, and there's all this all this stuff, and it was like, well, maybe I don't want to, maybe I'm just sit on the sidelines and just wait this out. And then now, and now we're at a point where it's expensive. Now it's just getting more and more expensive to grade. And then I'm thinking like, well, maybe I just keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know. How about you? I mean, are you buying raw cards? Do you buy graded cards, or how do you kind of go about that?
Yeah, I definitely buy both. I definitely prefer graded if possible. If like the price, if the comparing in prices is okay for my budget, then I'll go for the graded stuff. I've submitted to SGC twice, and I do love how it's like $10 a card. That's like a price you can't beat as far as PSA, BGS, and SGC. So that's definitely one thing I really like about SGC is making it still affordable. Is it going to take 5 to 6 months now? Yes. But I did do a submission. I want to say it was late April. And at that time, I think I had just, gotten it in there before it was maybe way too late. So it only took, I think it was, I want to say 3 months, and I got that first submission back. It was only like, at that time, like maybe 10 cards, because I had some vintage in there. And then I submitted again late July, and I did about 30 cards on that one. And I'm not expecting my cards back until like Thanksgiving time, so it is what it is, Now,
are some of those like PC items, or is it, did you want to get them back so you could turn around and sell them, or was it kind of a mix of the two?
For those batches, mostly flippable type of stuff. I had a few like Ken Griffey Jr. inserts I just thought was really cool looking, so I'll probably keep those around for quite a bit unless someone gives me a good price for them. But I would say probably 80% was to, resell at some point. So just one of those things, you gotta be patient.
Oh yeah.
Plan ahead.
I think that's part of my problem is just I don't have I don't have enough patience to wait on it. Not necessarily for the flipping aspect. I mean, that's part of it, yeah. But just not the not knowing part. It's for me. It's not. I shouldn't say the waiting part. It's the not knowing if it's going to be like 3 months, 6 months, a year, like 2 years. Like, is it ever going to come back? And like, is it lost? Like, and I tend to have like tracking, and you can see where it is in processing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid. But yeah. So we're getting a question. What do you think of the new? Have you seen the new PSA prices? As far as they've eliminated, I guess, kind of the $20 option. If you're now, I guess you can submit through a third party and still kind of get some sort of a deal. But what are your thoughts there? And do you, is that something where, is it changing anything in your world as far as collecting or investing goes?
It was definitely a little disappointing because I was finally thinking like, I'll send a PSA submission, try it out.
Yeah.
And then the news comes out. There's another channel, I want to say they're called Northeast Ohio Sports Cards or something like that. But he did a really good video of breaking down like what, like how much time would it take for you to get your cards back, and how much would it cost? And he went through the PSA. And kind of bottom line, the final answer from his evaluations was to still submit it through a PSA, but through that third party provider.
Yeah.
That kind of does bulk submissions for everyone. He said that was your best bet if you want to do PSA.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. He has a good channel. I like his channel. All right, Scott Kidd says, I was buying raw up until about 2 months ago. Seems like every raw card I purchase has issues, so it's tough to try to buy raw to grade right now. I was having luck 5 to 6 months ago, but not now. Yeah, I agree. That's such a tricky deal because I do know that, I don't necessarily subscribe to the notion that every raw card on eBay has been evaluated and is not gradable or not a 9 or a 10. I don't think that's reality. I do think there's people that just, they break wax, they pull, they break boxes, and then they just don't want to bother with it. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that don't want to bother with waiting months and months and months for graded cards, and then also paying for graded cards. So the thought that these have already been looked over and that all of these are 8s or something, or 7s, I just don't believe that. I think there's probably a lot of gems in there, but it's still probably risky. And I know people say, like, and it probably is a good idea if you're looking at an eBay seller and they're selling you a raw card and they have 50,000 feedback and they sell 1 million cards a day, they probably know what they're doing. They probably are looking, or at least trying to look. But I've also read too that even just like big card shops, they don't necessarily have the resources to grade everything that looks great. They might have a lot of modern cards that look really, really good, but they just don't, they can't get to it. And it all costs money. It all costs money to grade everything. So there's going to be some that I think are in good shape that they're like, look, let's just try to let's do the best we can on, on eBay or wherever. So, I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I hear you, Scott, that, it's definitely risky though. I've definitely bought raw cards on eBay, and then it's, I've been foolish to where I wasn't paying close enough attention to where it's like, it's a hollow, and then I get the card and it's a base, I didn't like, and I was just being lazy and didn't look at the back of the card, or they only had one picture. They didn't have the picture of the back of the card to show like the prism in writing. And I'm like, all I had to do was just ask the question, but I was just like not paying attention. And, I got to, and sometimes I've sent back one card. There's other times where I'm just like, I just don't want to bother with it. It's like, it is what it is. My mistake, All right, let's see what else we've got here. Richard and Reese show. What's up? How's it going? Baby Swagoo, this is way better than the debate. Absolutely. Why even bother? And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, people are saying, like, we're competing with the VP debate. Like, no. They're competing with us. Okay? They're competing with us here. We're not competing with them. But I know that what's going to happen is after probably half an hour of it, everybody will get sick of it and tune in anyway. So not worried about it. All right. Baby Swagoo says, agree with Scott. 5 to 6 months ago, you could still get good raw. I think that'll come back around. Look, I mean, there's going to be people that just don't want to bother with grading or they just, depending too how much money they have in, if they're trying to flip cards, they might just need the capital back. There might be other cards that they want to buy. I think there's a lot of people, and look, this happens to me too, where I've spent money on X, certain cards, and then there's something else I really want, and to raise those funds, it's like you got to try to, get some money back, and even if that means breaking even on a card or, or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it all just depends, but, and I suppose I do understand kind of buying from an eBay seller that's got 100 feedback that sells a handful of cards here and there. That makes more sense maybe than, someone that has 20,000 feedback and sells a lot of cards. But who knows? Who knows? I don't think there's a perfect science or a perfect answer to it. All right, so we're entering into off-season basketball. Are there certain players that you really like as far as kind of the upcoming? And I'll tell you, actually, I'll jump in first. I'm not buying a lot right now. I'm kind of in a wait and see. Honestly, I'm kind of just a little bit, I think until the election is over, I just want to see what happens with everything. I think it's just like the uncertainty of who's going to lead the country, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like that with everything, though. I made a video on it earlier, and it's like I'm just kind of in a wait and see mode. Not because I think that sports cards are going to drop to zero or anything like that. I'm sure there's a lot of really good buying opportunities, but for me, I think in basketball, the two guys that I would probably like, that I would continue to look at would be Luka Doncic. I'm a Mavericks fan. I already have a lot of Luka cards, but he's kind of like my LeBron. Like, I'm assuming he doesn't get hurt. I assume that 15 years from now, he will have won a championship. He will have won MVP. I think he will be the face of the league. But who knows? Speculating, of course. So Luka is kind of the guy that I'm high on. And then I really like Jason Tatum, even though the Celtics were bounced. I think that young kind of Celtics core I like that team with Brad Stevens. I think that they'll be back in the East. And honestly, the East is just not as tough as the West. Not even close, I don't think. So if you have a young star in the East, there's more of a chance that they're going to make a deep playoff run than the West, than any of your young players in the West. The West is literally going to have 8 teams that could win the championship next year. You just break them down, and it's like there's probably 9 teams in the West, that could potentially win the championship. There's just so much talent in the West. So for me, I think it's now vintage is a whole nother story. I buy vintage too. So I'm just talking modern players. I think those are the 2 guys where, like, if I see something, in the off season, the short off season, it's Luka and it's Jason Tatum. How about for you?
Yeah, you definitely can't go wrong with those guys. I've been kind of looking at Trae Young. I was looking at, and then got to go with the Rookie of the Year,
Yeah, absolutely.
So those 2, and then I already have 10 Jaren Jackson Jr., so I might as well I'll sit on those until the next season.
Yeah.
When the Grizzlies were playing, I was not able to sell my cards at the time due to traveling around, so I couldn't unload them, so I'll just be sitting on those. But I have a bunch of optics of Jaren Jackson Jr. But Trae Young, I was looking at him on Card Ladder, and his hoops raw are like $9 right now, and his PSA 10 is going for 108. So if I see some good looking hoops raw, I definitely would take a shot on those and try and grade them. And then if they get 10s, then it's, pretty solid, return.
What did you say? The hoops PSA 10s are about $100, 108. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. And that's for his
rookie. Kind of, what's that?
That's for his rookie, right? The 2018?
2018,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
$100. I mean, yeah, if you're a believer in Trae Young, if you compare that to some of the other guys that have taken off, it seems like good value if you're a believer in him, for sure. No, that makes sense.
And then I was looking at Ja Morant's cards. I looked at his Prism Raw, Optic Raw, and Hoops Raw. His Prism Raw going for around 77, Optic Raw around 35, and then Hoops Raw around 15. And then if those all got 10s, the Prism Rookie 10 PSA goes for 403, the Optic 219, and then the Hoops, as I said, kind of that Jaws is actually a little bit less. So it was around $85. But I see a little bit of value in the Optic Ja Morant rookie, since his raws are going for 35 and the 10s are 219. So out of those 3 card types, that would be kind of one that will be kind of put on the watch list this off season, see if there's any good deals.
Yeah, speaking of that, so the only Ja Morant card that I own is that Optic Rookie that you're talking about, and I got a good subgrades on a BGS 9.5. It's a gem. It's like 4.95 subgrades, and it was only, I think it was $120. So that would be something if you're big on Ja Morant. I agree with you. He's Rookie of the Year. I think he's a really, really good player. But that could be something if that 220, for those that are watching too, if that 220 is maybe too high of a price point for the PSA 10, if you can get a good BGS 9.5 that's got nice subgrades on it, I mean, there's a pretty big drop off, or at least there was. I haven't looked it up in a while, but if you can get a BGS 9.5 with some good subgrades at 125 or 130 or something like that, I like those. I'm going to try to, if I can find another one. I was seeing them with like a 9 subgrade, and it's not that those are bad, obviously, but I try to stay away from the from 9 subgrades if I can. I try to just hold out for the full 9.5 or a 10 on there or whatever, if possible. But I might try to pick up a few more of those if I can find them. I just have the one, so I was thinking about maybe, trying to get another couple if they're out there. But yeah, so do you think that Ja Morant's going to be like a generational player, or do you think he's just going to be, a good player that's an all-star? What's kind of your thought on Ja?
It's so tough to say after just 1 year. But like for now, I would say he definitely has a good opportunity to be kind of up there in the, maybe top 5 in a few years for sure. Kind of once, LeBron and Kevin Durant and those people kind of, get older. So yeah, there's definitely a chance. It's kind of hard to. I'm not an NBA scout yet, so it's hard to tell right now.
with emphasis on yet, because we're going to be NBA scouts professionally. No, but yeah, no, I think I agree with you. It's funny because people have such short memories, and you have guys like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry. In 5 years, all these guys are going to be gone. In 5 years, they're all gone, and then you're left with, the Ja Morants and the Bookers and the Tatums and the Lukas and all these guys. So yeah, what's the landscape of the NBA going to be there? It's just so. The talent gap is so tight. It'll be really interesting to see what super teams are formed as well. In 5 years, what are those going to look like? Because the whole conversation around basketball has been around LeBron, and Durant and the Warriors really for the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. That's really been kind of the elite of the NBA. And in a few years, that's over. That's going to be done with. So, but yeah, we've got Donovan Mitchell is clutch. Look, they're all clutch. Like Jamal Murray is clutch. The Joker from Denver is clutch. Like they're all clutch. It's really exciting to watch the NBA now because there's so much talent. There's so many teams that can win. Look, the Nuggets, the Nuggets almost, pulled it off to where they were, in the finals. It's crazy, but it's not that crazy because they're talented. All right, we have a statement. Oh, and sort of a question. So we're supposed to get a big stimulus check in November or December. Do you think it will have an impact on the card market or not so much? Well, for me, my wife is probably going to be selfish and spend this. So for me, it's probably not going to. Just kidding. I know she's going to watch this and I'm going to get smacked, but no. That's actually a really good question. And I wonder too, do the holidays and Christmas factor into that? Because like in March, April, May, when you're getting your stimulus, and then you're at home and you can't travel and all that. I feel like that's more of an environment where it could get spent on cards. But if it comes around Christmas time, that's going to be going to other places probably. If I go spend $1,200 on cards, then yeah, it better be like a card bracelet for my wife. It better be like a Luka Doncic, necklace. No, but do you have any thoughts on that? I'm talking as I'm thinking about it. I just feel like, I feel like that if it's extra money for people, it's going to go towards like the kids at Christmas, or something else. Or, I think that there's also a lot of people too this time around with job losses and everything else that's happened that are actually going to need that money this time around. I think it's going to be a little different this time, but that's just my take.
Well, hey, that could be something new for you, making Luka Doncic necklaces and selling them on eBay. How about that, huh?
That's right. Yeah, we have all sorts of trinkets that we're selling on the channel. Stay tuned.
There you go.
Stay tuned.
Well, yeah, to the comment, first off, I'm like super excited because I wasn't sure if it was actually going to happen. So if that actually happens, I'll be super excited just to get some money rolling in.
Yeah.
Me personally, like I'll probably go towards other things. Maybe keep 100 of it and put it towards a card that I've been wanting or something. But yeah, it probably won't impact me too much as far as buying sports cards goes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm really interested in seeing kind of, and I know I already said, but I made a video tonight that was just, is anybody still investing in sports cards? Because I'm still buying cards. I'm still, I'm still in it, but it definitely feels like it's slowed down quite a bit. Just the fervor. And I'm not even talking about just pricing. I'm talking about in general, just about, I know it's in the news as well. It's still kind of in the news, but it just feels like there's not as much excitement, which, look, as far as pricing and everything goes, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because pricing was getting to a point where just nobody can afford anything, and nothing can go up forever. It's not really supposed to, and it's not. I don't think that's really healthy long term. There has to be some sort of equilibrium with it all. But what are your thoughts? Do you think? I guess what I'm really watching for is, okay, and really, in my opinion, I think basketball cards really drive. And I know that there's a lot of deep baseball card collectors as well, but a lot of the excitement is around basketball cards and those releases, whether it be Prism or Optic or the new rookie classes. Basketball cards really is the big driver, and baseball cards is probably second to that, with football cards behind that. So, but is that next season coming up in November, December, all the kind of excitement for that next NBA season going to be what kind of kickstarts the hobby back into gear as far as as far as singles prices and things like that, or is it, are we going to go into economic depression, because, there's finally, because I'm of the opinion too. I mean, I'm looking around just in my community, restaurants have been closed for months. Movie theaters have been closed for months. All these different places, all these service industries, places, the nail salon, the hair salon, all the different things, all these people that provide a service, massage therapists, they haven't worked. They haven't been able to work here for months, and every state is different. But at some point, this is going to hit people to where, like, you can't, like, they have to, that restaurant's never going to open again, or that place is, that small business is going to go under. And then what? Then, you have to find a new job, or, I don't know. I guess that's kind of where I feel like what's the phrase? The ball hasn't dropped yet on kind of the impact of the last few months. Like, I know we've had some stimulus, but I think there's going to be months of kind of trouble ahead as far as unemployment and just people having to redo their whole career and everything else. Maybe I'm a little bit down on it. I'm a little bit pessimistic, but I think there's going to be, some stumbling blocks. And so I'm just curious to see how that goes. Do you have any thoughts on that piece? I know I went kind of like, philosophical there.
I guess from all the cards that I've kind of been looking at, just to see where they were, how high they got during, the summer, all that, when everything went crazy, and then kind of where they're at now, I feel like right now is kind of like the baseline almost. Like, I don't think it's going to go, down. But I also don't think we're going to get, as high as we were during the late spring and summer. So I feel like we're kind of right where we should be, really, for the long term as far as sports cards go.
With maybe like some like incremental rising sort of thing, and then just like smaller ups and downs. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And then, of course, there's always going to be, the high rollers that decide, hey, I would really like this, Lou Alcindor rookie card that's graded 8. I'm going to go purchase this. And then, of course, it'll kind of affect kind of the market as far as like this much money was spent on this card. But for the most part, I feel like it's going to be kind of, not too crazy either way.
Yeah, and I should also differentiate between the two, because I feel like there's two different card markets. There's the high roller card market. I don't think that's going to be affected. I don't think the $2 million LeBron RPA cards. I don't think now. Maybe there will be lower sales, but the $2 million RPA sale, I don't think that's going to all of a sudden drop to 200,000. I think there's still going to be the high rollers that are buying the big cards. I'm talking more on the kind of the lower to mid level type stuff that I collect and what you might collect, other than your LeBron RPA that you bought for $1 million.
Yeah,
Jared's just being modest. He's got $5 million in cards in his place.
that's right.
Yeah, so that's an interesting topic, and I think that everybody is kind of watching that. And then we have a comment: not all the massage therapists collect cards, and that's a good point. We need to keep that in mind. We need to keep that in mind. Agree with,
That's fun.
yeah, it'll go to Christmas presents. I think so too. My son is, well, so one of his buddies has a Nintendo Switch, which I have I have an original Nintendo and a Super Nintendo that I like to, play every once in a while, and that I'm getting him into. I'm still learning how like the whole like new video game thing works, but if I get a $1,200 stimulus check, 400 of it's probably going to be going to a Nintendo Switch for him. So kids are selfish. Kids are selfish, taking money away from cards. All right, Classic Pack Attack, how's it going? Vintage is going up all around the board, including packs and boxes. Speaking of that, yeah, I bought a couple packs of 1982 Topps football recently.
Nice.
Actually, I got the second. So I broke one of the boxes, on the channel, and then I got the other. Rack pack, and it's in such bad shape. Like I'm wondering, I was kind of disappointed with it too. And I feel like I got a pretty good deal on it anyway. I mean, it didn't break the bank or anything. It wasn't a $200 pack of cards. But then I'm thinking like, should I just hold? I think I want to just hold on to it just because I want, like, in 50 years, I want to be like an 80-year-old. Well, in 50 years, I'll be a 90-year-old man, and like open it up. Like in 50 years, what will it be? 2070? It'll be almost 100-year-old like rack pack of cards. Do something crazy like that on the channel, because the channel will still be going in 50 years. But yeah, vintage is an interesting case. Do you have a different viewpoint on vintage? And also, what is your definition of vintage? Because you're younger than me. So, I guess my definition of vintage is probably anything pre-1981, maybe. I still call like 80s stuff vintage, but once you get into kind of like 88, 89, 90, that's all mass-produced stuff. But if you're, 22 years old, then 1990 might be vintage to you. So, what's kind of like your baseline for vintage when you're buying?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I would say 84, like the Dan Marino, John Elway stuff, rookie cards. That's kind of like the youngest of the vintage, and then just kind of going down from there.
I can see that. Yeah, and that's an important set. 84 Topps football is loaded, absolutely loaded. Yeah. Do you I had a Dan Marino rookie card and a John Elway rookie card and a PSA 9, and ended up selling those. I sold those, and now I'm kind of like, I wish I had held on to them. Any type of vintage card, if I ever sell the vintage card, I feel like weird about it. Like I just don't, like you don't feel good about it. You're like, But yeah, so I've been buying, and I know I've been talking about it on my channel, but a lot of that vintage, I've been buying like Howie Long rookie cards. That's also a 1984 Topps, and Eric Dickerson rookie cards. I've just been looking at like, who are the greatest NFL players of all time, like the top 100 list, and I'm going down the list. One guy that I thought was really kind of, a good value where I got him was Marshall Faulk. Now, this is a 1994 rookie card, so that's not a vintage card, but it's a 26-year-old card, and Marshall Faulk, those SP rookie cards, I picked up Warren Sapp, and I got Marshall Faulk because they're all-time greats, So I've been focusing a lot on football, in part because that's more in my price range, because vintage basketball stuff is very expensive. I bought like a Daryl Dawkins rookie card, PSA 7. Those are, those were fairly affordable, and now everything's just shot up, and vintage football has shot up too. So now I feel like I'm more in like wait and see mode, because I now have, it's like I know exactly what cards I want. They're just not at the price points yet where, so I'm waiting for the dip on some of these cards, just because I want to, there's a lot that I want, and I'm just going to, break the bank if I do it now, I feel like, with some of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely shed a few tears looking at how cheap things were like 2 years ago. Just like iconic cards that were only like $200 and now they're like thousands of dollars. It's like,
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Personally, for me, for football, the Merino Elway for sure. I was looking them up today. The nines are still like somewhat like affordable-ish, kind of on the high end. Merino 9, $422. Elway 9, $390. But the real one that I have my eyes set on is the Jim Brown 1958 rookie card, and there's an SGC one that's like a buy it now for like $550 or like make an offer. So I've got that on my watch list. It'll definitely take a few selling of the cards and spraying off those disposable diapers that you were talking about the other day.
That's right. Yeah. all those gems to save money. Yeah. No, the PS. So that was one of the first cards I bought when I got back in 2 years ago. Was a Jim Brown PSA 3, and at the time it was $225.
Oh man!
But it's like what you say. I mean, 2 years ago you could have bought any of these cards for a fraction. an absolute fraction. So that's what I'm kind of wondering. It's like, for cards like that, I would love to have another Jim Brown rookie, but it's just tough time to buy that now. It's like when people are talking about LeBron, buying into LeBron. It's like, now is probably not a great time. It's like, everything's just so high. I mean, I guess there's that FOMO, like it might go higher, but you know what? It could also go down. It could go down a lot. I mean, if you even look at LeBron's like Topps Chrome rookie cards, from 2 years ago, it's a dramatic difference in price. Now, do I think that they'll ever go back down to that original price from 2 or 3 years ago? Probably not. I mean, maybe. I don't know if there's a worldwide, global, shutdown where, the global economy tanks. But, it's still, it's high. If you're getting in on a Topps Chrome PSA 10 at 15 grand, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd rather just risk just waiting and, maybe have that money set aside. Like, how much do you want to pay for it? Is it $8,000? Put that aside, and if it ever gets to 8, then you pull the trigger type thing, kind of like with, stocks or, some of the, it's like your buying price. I don't know. So yeah, Trevor is saying wait and see mode is best right now. I do agree on that, man. I mean, I know a lot of prices have come down here recently, but I'm just kind of, I want to see I want to see if it's going to come down again. I want to see what's going to happen until I spend more. I feel like I've got to, it's like the collection's there. Now it's kind of like, all right, let's just kind of hold and see what happens. And now just doing a lot of the research, like what you were talking about, Jared, it's like, now I have a really, really good idea of what I want, the cards that I want. And so I'm looking for some of the bigger cards, and I don't have unlimited resources. So if I want the bigger cards, it's like there's planning that goes into that, and I have to be patient and figure out, when the right timing is. Are you going after, are there bigger cards that you had mentioned the Jim Brown, are you really only targeting like kind of those bigger cards right now, or are there also $20, $30, $50 cards that you're looking to buy, or are you just zeroed in on those kind of, those wish list ones?
There is like, I would say just because we're in like football season, so I've been like a little bit more twitchy on the buys for current football players. So I've gotten like DeAndre Hopkins. I've grabbed a few of his rookie cards. Two are like die cutouts, and they're pretty affordable. It was like around $15 each for those. And then I got the Prism for I want to say it was with like shipping and handling, maybe like $45, $46. And then let's see, I did buy a Josh Allen Don Russ SGC 10. I want to say a week or 2 weeks ago. That one I'm hoping to, I'll kind of eye it, but his first half of the schedule for this season is a lot better than the second half. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, so it's one of those things where you could sell it after like the first half and get a little return, or hold on to it for the playoffs and see if they win a game or two in the playoffs, and then it really takes off. And then I got a Lamar Jackson Select. It was the middle level Premier. Got that for I think 111. That was raw. I wanted to get at least one Lamar Jackson card. Have a piece of Lamar.
Sure.
So
yeah,
those are
he's an exciting player. Ben Clark says, I'm never selling my Hakeems. Ben, how many Hakeems are those? Hakeem rookie cards? Is that 86 Fleer? Do you have all the 9s and the 10s? You're holding them? Let us know in the chat. How many Hakeems are we talking? And are they 86 Fleer rookies? In the chat, let us know too. I want to hear about 86 Fleer. I bought a Julius Erving 86 Fleer and a PSA 8. And that was kind of one of those where I didn't have any 86 Fleer. And I'm like, you know what? I just want to have a piece of this set.
Yeah.
So I got a Dr. J from that set. But yeah, let us know in the chat if there are certain sets. Oh, you're speaking my language here. 89 score Barry and Deion. Yeah. Barry and Deion Sanders rookies graded. Actually, so I have raw 89 score Barry Sanders rookies, but there's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of them. I just bought a few weeks ago, I got a Deion Sanders 89 score rookie and a PSA 9, and that was the set. I know I've talked about this, but for anyone that's listening that hasn't heard me rant on about this before, when I was a kid, 89 score was the unaffordable set. It was always 89 pro set you could find in like every store on the planet, gas station, grocery store. 89 Pro set was very easy to find, just like Donruss Baseball and all those other sets. But 89 Score was the only one where you had to go to the card shop. It was like hobby only. It felt like they didn't have 89 Score at the grocery store. So that was the big set. And even back then, I remember packs at the card shop. They were gouging us kids. It was like $4 a pack. It was like $4 a pack in 1989, 1990, whatever. So yeah, no, I love that card. And actually the Deion I picked up, that was an example of one where the Barry Sanders, the thing that annoys me about the Barry Sanders is I was almost pulling the trigger on the PSA 10 Barry Sanders again 2 years ago when I got back in at like $250, $300 was where I wanted to be on that. And it kept on selling for like $325, $350. And I should have just pulled the trigger on it at $325 because I would have bought it at $300, but that was kind of like my buying. That was my threshold. Like I'm not spending more than $300 on it. And now it's $800, or maybe it's come down. It went up to $1,000 at one point. So I don't know if that's come down at all, but that is a really cool card. I have a couple of raw ones, but I don't have any graded. I was thinking about getting like PSA 9 Barry Sanders score rookies, but they're in abundance. There's a lot of them. So that's more of just like a PC thing. And I already have raw ones in my PC. So it's kind of like, I can just buy other things. All right. What does Daniel Young have to say? Hey, don't hope they're. Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. Ben Clark, I've only got the one rookie BGS 8.5. How much are you selling it for, Ben? Let me know. Send me a DM or something if you said you're never selling, but if you change your mind. No, honestly, I'd love to have a Hakeem rookie. I'm just not buying them now. I did get a Jerry Rice. I did get a Jerry Rice rookie in a 7. It was about $70. And I've been trying to pull the trigger on an 8 Jerry Rice. It's 86 tops. And they've just gone up so much. They've gone up tremendously, the 8s. I was looking at getting one at a couple months ago for maybe a couple $100. Now they're at $300, $350. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait because again, they're not crazy rare, those. But that is an iconic card, that Jerry Rice rookie. I've got the painting on, in my studio of the Jerry Rice rookie. It's an iconic card, so I had to get the 7. Had to get the 7 just to have it. All right. Trevor says, I think memorabilia is undervalued. Jared, do you have any Cleveland Browns mem, or are you into any of that stuff? Do you have signed jerseys or helmets or anything like that?
No, I've actually never really been into that, surprisingly. I'll buy the shirts and stuff and jerseys, but I guess I've never really been into the signed pictures and all that good stuff. But it's definitely a cool thing to look into for sure.
I do want to get at some point a full-size Saints helmet that's got like Drew Brees' signature, but I'll probably wait until after he retires. I don't know anything about the memorabilia market, though. I don't know if it's less expensive after he retires or if it's more expensive after I don't know the answer to that. I'm not in that game, but I think it would be cool when I have like a proper man cave when I can actually get that set up. My wife has been talking about hooking me up with like a Saints room and kind of having it all set up. But she has not delivered on that yet. Another failure by her. Just keep on. Notice how I talk about it when she's not around. But she'll watch this later, and then she'll be smacking me. All right. Mini helmets. I like the mini helmets too, but there's something about like a full size helmet with like the big signature. I want like a giant Breeze signature. I'd really like to have some like Michael Jordan mem stuff. Like I think it would be really cool to have a signed jersey or something framed, but I'm sure that stuff is astronomically priced. A graded Super Bowl ticket from Saints 2009. You know what? I haven't even looked for that. That's an interesting take, Trevor. Yeah. I'll have to take a look. Cool. Yeah, that was one. My family actually contemplated us all going to that Super Bowl, and then we just didn't. We got together, but when the costs and everything, we didn't pull the trigger. And now looking back, because we won and in the fashion that we did win, it was like, man, that would have been an unbelievable experience. But hey, what can you do?
Yeah, if the Browns actually make the playoffs this year, I'd probably buy a ticket.
Yeah,
get a ticket.
Yeah, I've gone to sadly, I've gone to the last 3 seasons. I've gone to playoff games, Saints playoffs games, and they've lost in spectacular fashion the last 3 seasons. And they've had like great regular seasons and then just absolute heartbreaking, rip your heart out, want to jump off a roof type endings to the season. You have like the Rams blown call, you have the Minnesota Miracle, and then Minnesota beat us again last year. I was in the end zone. I was sitting in the end zone seat, like behind it. We had really good seats, and right where Kirk Cousins threw the game-winning touchdown, where Kyle Rudolph pushed off. Now, granted, Minnesota dominated us the whole game, so it's not like that non-call mattered. It didn't. Minnesota deserved to win, but yeah, I've been there for all that, all those heartbreakers. So this year it might actually be good luck that we can't go watch a game because of what's going on in the world. It might actually be good because I think that my family is a curse for the Saints when it comes to playoff time. All right. So if the Browns go to the Super Bowl, are you going? Are you spending $4,000 on the ticket and going to a Browns Super Bowl? There's so many mega Browns fans, though. I feel like it would be so hard to get those tickets, even at like $4,000 or $5,000, because they're so diehard, those fans.
Oh, yeah, that'd be rough. I'd probably just, pimp out a room and just, get a nice size TV and, some friends and good food. So.
Yep. Shelly says, not as brutal as Falcons Super Bowl loss. So bad. Yeah. Are you a Falcons fan, Shelly? I didn't know that if you are. But yeah, that definitely, if you're a Falcons fan, that was probably the worst way to go out for sure. Just being up at half like they were, and it being the Super Bowl. That I feel like that's something the Saints would have done. Actually, that's what we were kind of waiting for. When we were watching the Saints against Peyton Manning, we were just waiting for, Peyton Manning to take over that game. It's like even when we were up, it was like something bad's going to happen here, and this is going to fall apart on us. And fortunately, we were able to pull it out. But so yeah, I don't know. Do you have? I know that you brought some cards. Do you want to share some of the cards? I know you showed a couple of them. Are there any that stick out? Any that have a story, or any that you wanted to share that that you're hot on? Or are they new pickups, or what are the stories there?
Sure. So this one was kind of like, I don't mind keeping it for a while. It's a Joe Thomas X-Fractor, and it's signed in gold as well, and it got a 9. So this was a super cool card that I saw about a month or so ago, and it was like only like $70. I was like, Joe Thomas, like rookie card, X Fractor, sign, gotta go for it. So that's one of my favorite cards.
Yeah, Joe Thomas is the man. He's just a good dude.
And he's a funny guy too. This is Bugs Bunny Toon Squad Space Jam card.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it's kind of like holographic too. It's pretty neat. But this is kind of a speculation card. We got, Space Jam, the next movie coming out next year with LeBron. So I figured maybe people kind of remember this, the last one, and want to check out the cards from the first one with MJ. So I'll eventually get this graded, but this was 25, and I was going to look at another one yesterday at an auction, and it went a little bit higher. So people are starting to catch on, I think. But Bugs Bunny,
That's cool.
They got like Porky the Pig and all the other characters. So I figured Bugs Bunny would be the most popular one.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's so many sets. Go ahead.
Oh. And then this is a Gary V thing. We got the Sugar Daddy cards from 1974. This is the Oscar Robertson.
Is that a sticker or is it a card?
They're cards. I guess they used to put them in the Nabisco, like little candy things or something. So getting a good grade on these is tough. So the population reports, that was part of Gary's kind of speculation, was the popular pop reports for PSA are definitely like a lot more rare than like the other cards in that time. I did a little research on the Sugar Daddy cards. So like the Oscar Robertson, there's 26 eights, 16 nines, and only 5 10s for PSA. And then Kareem, he has like 13 eights, 6 nines, and only 3 10s. So like if you bought a 10 of that card, it could eventually skyrocket. So that's kind of my speculation card. And this was only like $9, and it looks pretty good shape. So I might get like an 8, maybe 7 or an 8, which I'll be fine with.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those are cards. Definitely still looking into those cards. And then here's kind of one that goes back to the 2001 Ichiro craze. Actually, all of these. So we got the Fleer Premium Ichiro Rookie Prospects card, and it's numbered, which is also nice, out of 1999. Then we got Fleer Triple Crown Ichiro, and that is numbered 2,999. And then kind of a lower end upper deck MVP Ichiro card. So those are kind of both like nostalgic, and they're actually like, a decent investment, and, something that should go up once Ichiro goes to the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Yeah, that was during kind of my I shouldn't say my dark times, but my non-card collecting times. That sounded a little dreary. That was during my dark times when I was on the streets. No. All right, dude. Well, hey, we are coming up to the hour and 10-minute mark. I'm going to probably need to wrap up here in just a couple of minutes. If anyone has any other questions for Jared, his YouTube channel is SGC Investor. Check him out. And he has been nice enough. He's been one of my subscribers probably since the beginning of the channel, but he always has something great to add. And I've been enjoying kind of going back and forth with him in the comments. So I was really happy to have Jared on. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, at the end here before we head off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Dustin. I definitely enjoy your videos. Definitely always excited when you get new ones out for each day. Um, yeah, it's, I'm still kind of new to, making videos and stuff. I got maybe like up to 20, 25 videos now. And I'm planning on buying some like decent video editing stuff so I can like make it a little bit, better to watch, hopefully within the next month or so. So that's something for myself at least to look forward to. And then if you're a Browns fan, I also have Browns Talk. That's kind of more of me just spitting off, what I thought about the game and stuff. It used to be a place for me to vent about the Browns, but now they're actually doing decent. So
Now, is that a podcast? Browns Talk. Where do I find? Because I didn't know that was a separate channel, or is that a separate deal? Browns Talk.
Yeah, I have two different channels. Most of the time, I'm on like Browns Talk when I'm just like watching people. So I'll kind of be on both.
Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, check out Jared on Browns Talk as well. Well, awesome. Well, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Everybody that watched tonight, thank you very much. And we will be back on again next week. I have not figured out the person that's coming on, but we'll definitely have a live stream on next week. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys. And we will talk to you later. Thanks very much.